right in front of the Duomo, right there. Oh, I apologize, in Siena. In Siena.
Terrific. So we're at the top of the hour. We've got about 38 people, and I'm sure we'll continue to have people filter in. I like to keep things moving, and I know we have a lot of ground to cover today. Libby, if you want to join us on video, that would be great. I'm just going to do a bit of an introduction here and then turn it over to all of you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Beth Bronder with ACCE, and you are joining us today for a Partner Solutions webinar entitled Staying Relevant with Non-Dues Revenue and Chamber Travel. I'm going to be hosting today, but not saying much more than just getting us kicked off. We've had a tremendous response to this particular webinar, and I think it really speaks to some of the pent-up energy to get back out and see the world. I know I'm raring to go. Today, you're going to hear from one travel pro, Ian Scott, who many of you know, and he's going to talk about the state of travel and what to expect this year and next year. You're also going to be hearing from a chamber pro, Libby Gerrock, from the Hilliard Chamber, who is not only an expert on travel programs for chambers, but is also a rabid travel enthusiast herself. She'll be talking about her partnership with Ian and some best practices related to launching and executing successful chamber travel programs. I'm absolutely confident.
That's not what I thought this was going to be.
I'm sorry, could you put yourselves on mute? We are confident you'll walk away with some good tips to help you implement travel programs in your chambers. So before we get started, just a couple housekeeping items. First of all, Ian, thank you so much for sponsoring today's program. You've been a longtime supporter of ACCE, and I know putting these programs together takes some work, and we appreciate you also extending the invitation to your partner, Libby. I personally have been on an AVENTURA fam trip, and I absolutely had a terrific time. That was late 2019 and the last time I got to travel. So I can't wait to be invited back, Ian, and my bags are packed. So I'm as ready as anybody. Today we're planning for a 1 hour webinar session today. And we're going to leave at least 20 minutes for your questions. So as we go, if you want to go ahead and put your questions in the chat, Ian will get to those after his presentation and after Libby's had a chance to share her expertise. Today's webinar is being recorded, so all of you will receive a copy of this in email. It will also be available on our website for you to share with your colleagues. So you don't have to take copious notes throughout. There'll be plenty of time for you to review this. Again, the contact information for Libby and Ian is in the chat, so please feel free to reach out to them. And then just to get us started, we like to get an idea of where our audience is with regard to travel. So I'm going to launch a quick little poll here. 3-4 questions. We just want to find out where your head is at around travel, around non-dues revenue. If you could take a few seconds to answer these poll questions. Is everybody seeing those? If you could just take a few seconds to answer those poll questions, I think that it is going to help us sort of set the table for today's discussion. I'm not seeing responses coming in. Are you able to answer those polls?
I saw them, Beth. I saw them.
Submitted it.
Okay. I'm going to ask my colleague Ellie Colt to see if she's getting the tabulations.
I'm seeing them, Beth.
Okay, great. You may be the one to have to share those at the end of our few seconds here. So while we finish up with that and people are answering those questions, let me introduce today's speakers. Ian Scott is the president and CEO of AVENTURA World. He has been a long time supporter of ACCE and our member chambers. He is an expert in this area and conducts many, many, many tours each year with chambers. We also have with us one of his chamber partners, Libby. I'm going to make sure I get it right. Rock. Yes. Libby Rock is the CEO of Hilliard Area Chamber in Ohio, and she is, like myself, ready and willing to start traveling again. So we are both completely ready to go. I am going to end the poll right now. Ellie, if you have the tabulations, could you please send them? I'm not sure exactly why I'm not seeing them.
Sure thing. It looks like everybody should be able to see those now.
Thumbs up. Are you seeing the results?
Looks like we're getting some mixed results.
We may be
Got it
having
now. All
technical
right.
difficulty. Do you want to read them, Ellie, real quickly?
I think we got some thumbs up that everybody's able to see them now.
Okay,
I got them.
terrific.
And I think most of these will be addressed in our, I think
Great.
most of these will be addressed in our conversation shortly.
Terrific. So with that and with those responses, I'm going to hand it over to Ian to get us kicked off here with today's presentation. Ian?
Thank you, Beth. Thanks. And like you, I'm ready to get out there and travel again. My bag has been packed for over a year now, so I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me today, and thank you everybody for joining. I know you have a busy day ahead of you, and spending a bit of time with me, I truly appreciate it, and also with Libby too. We've been a partner of the Chamber for the last, of the ACCE for the last 10 years, working with many of the top producing chambers in the country. And what we have today is a new vision, a new outlook on where travel is going in 2021, 2022. And I think as we move forward, the agenda that we have is right here. We have to bring out a little bit of who AVENTURA World is. And I do think I've seen some messages from current partners saying hello to me and hello back to you. But we'll talk a bit of who AVENTURA World is. We'll talk a little bit of why would a chamber bring forth a travel program, because I saw there was about 35%, if I'm not mistaken, haven't even tried a program yet. Who is the chamber traveler? Who is that demographic? What's the current environment to promote travel within? And what's the current environment of a traveler? What are they thinking right now? We'll discuss about planning. We'll talk about Libby and Libby Geardock, an avid traveler, a respected member of the chamber community for the last 28 years. I'm truly honored to have her on this call today. And we're going to talk about her experiences and her secret sauce to get people going. She has a whole host of new reservations for the fall of this year, which is fabulous, and we're so happy for her on that. We're also going to talk about protecting Affinity. We'll talk about fam trips that are coming up and how you can get on our list. And thank you for attending our webinar. So off we go. Let's first all talk about who AVENTURA World is. Well, we're a group travel leader. We've been in business since 1972, and we're a wholesaler of travel, not a travel agent. And in fundraising travel, that's important because we negotiate everything with you in mind, directly with hotels, restaurants, airlines, bars, guides, and such. And by doing that, we don't have a middleman. We're a member of Sakara International Group with thousands of employees worldwide. They have offices on both sides of the United States, as well as in Rome, London, Delhi, and Cairo, and Paris. They own riverboats, hotels, other travel-related entities. And AVENTURA World is a B2B company, not a B2C company. And I'll bring this distinction up, why this is important for chamber travel in a short while. We're dedicated to bringing the treasures of the world. And there's nothing better to be able to help members of your members or members of the local community to have an education and have an adventure along with the chamber. We're a company that has changed with the times. I think we all have changed a little bit over 2020, but our industry had to revamp itself, redesign itself, and there's many aspects of who we are now that we've changed in 2020, and we'll discuss that as we move along. Been a sponsor of ACCE for 10 years. We're proud to be that sponsor. We follow their standards of quality and codes of ethics, and again, we're very proud to be that entity. We revolve in fundraising travel, not vacation travel, and there is a pure distinction there. When you get into vacation travel, it might be with you and your family members. You know that you have 2, 4, 6 people to go on a trip. When you get into fundraising travel, you're never really sure how many you can get. It's not rocket science what we do, but some destinations and some procedures that we have that we've built up over years and years of working in fundraising travel work better than others, and would be happy to bring that knowledge to you. Now, why would a chamber offer travel? Yeah, there's many, many reasons. I'm going to bring forth the top 5. 1, non-dues revenue. We have, this isn't something that comes overnight, but some of our top producing chambers produce up to $80,000 a year in travel. So that's not an amount to be scoffed at, but that takes a bit of time to get there. That's in addition, they have complimentary spaces and such things as that. It's a great way to reward employees or retain employees in the chamber, because with a travel program, it's sexy, it's fun. Many chamber employees might not have the ability to travel. If they bring people to the game and they bring reservations up, we have many partners and chamber presidents that give free trips to them once they earn them. So it's a great way to incentivize staff. Building a cultural awareness program, to be a leader in the local community, not just with your members, but non-members too, on education through travel. It's a fabulous way. There's something that can be learned on any trip, anywhere in the world, and bring it home to learn from it. One of the things that most chambers miss, but top producing chambers do not, is the cultivation of travelers for the foundation. Most chambers have a foundation. When you are traveling on an interesting, fabulous adventure somewhere in the world, and you have an executive from the chamber on the trip, you have the ability to talk to travelers who have a disposable income. Talk to them about what the chamber's doing, where your shortfalls are. And by that, not only do you get non-dues revenue, but you also have the ability of cultivating and gaining revenue to the foundation at the said same time. Supporting the mission. Many chambers say it's not in my mission to offer travel. I am always at odds with that one, because fundraising is important. There are many fundraising activities that are not part of the chamber's mission, but it brings money in there. But the money that has been brought in through travel, we have had partners who have brought in feasibility studies to bring local airlines into their town, feasibility studies to do ring roads around the town itself, office supplies, office renovation, new computers, and many other things such as that. It's a great way. Now, who's the chamber traveler? That elusive traveler. It's probably somebody you don't know if you've never offered trips before, but historically, they are 65 to 75. New people to you. They plan 1 to 2 trips a year. So they're looking for value pricing. They put their money out and they want to do as many travels as they can with their money. They have a disposable income set aside to travel, and they have time set aside to travel. And the stock market is booming. So it's great right now. Historically, they travel internationally and not and not domestically. They're a group, a brand new revenue stream to you. And what I mean by that, you're not going to go back to your current membership and say, dig into your pockets, we need some more non-dues revenue from you. This is a brand new group of people that you're not currently accepting any amount of revenue from at all. These people love to interact with the chamber. You have a great name in the area, a great reputation in the area, and many of these people do not have a vehicle to communicate or to interact with you. Travel and international awareness programs give them that vehicle to do so. Yes, individual travelers, they're not individual travelers, these are group travelers, and they love to interact with the chamber and the fellow travelers. They are probably not members of the chamber. We do have some partners that the majority are chamber members, but no, these people here, probably you don't know the majority of them. And as we talk more of the wave that's coming, there's a lot of people you definitely are not going to know that's going to want to travel with you. The current environment, first of all, there's the current environment is the difference between a professionally taken photograph and one of me with a hat on in Peru. So that's the first stark reminder. But the first thing is the stock market is unbelievable at the moment. And 2020 finished in a really good year. So people have the money to travel. The conversation is moving from virus to vaccine. And as the president stated about two weeks ago, any adult that wants to be vaccinated will be vaccinated by the end of May. So obstacles are starting to disappear against vaccinations. Yeah, as I've just mentioned, the 65 and older already have the vaccine. I'm creating presentations with chamber partners on a daily basis, and I poll the attendees of those presentations. Virtually everybody on those calls are already vaccinated. The airlines are gearing up for the fall. 2 weeks ago, Delta announced that they were bringing back their pilots for the fall. And it is very encouraging. United are following suit. Travel stocks are doing great. US and European. United yesterday went up 20% in one day. These are all signs that the environment is getting better and the confidence inside the United States to start traveling is coming back in force. Now, foreign governments are creating policy for travelers. Now, they started out with the policy of vaccine rollout, and that's what they've done. But now they're comfortable with their vaccine rollout, and now they're starting with how do we get foreign nationals to travel to their countries. Greece this past Sunday is the first major European country, more to follow quickly. Portugal, Spain, others are coming quickly afterwards from what we are told, but they are the first one to come out with, as of May the 14th this year, if you are vaccinated, they will welcome you into Greece open-heartedly. If you're not vaccinated, you're still welcome, but you need to have the COVID test before you go. So my point is, if you want to travel, and people who want to travel are already lined up or have had their vaccine or are lining up to gain their vaccine. So things are changing most rapidly right now. Now, the current environment, and there is a really, it's an amazing, the environment, how it's changing week by week by week. As of this moment, we're in March of 2020, international travel virtually stopped. So at least 1 year right now, people have not been traveling. They basically, the said same travelers haven't made a large purchase on travel in quite some time. Their gardens are pristine. Some even told me they're sick and tired of talking to the husband, sick and tired of talking to the wife. They've watched everything on TV. I can put my hand up. My wife and I, we have watched everything on Netflix, Amazon Prime, and that's a statement that you've seen everything on Amazon Prime. They're looking and they miss the freedom of travel and the camaraderie and the adventure that brings. They're looking for some certainty in life and a hope that life is getting back. And they want to be able to place an X on their calendar that they're going somewhere. And they want to be able to do that with the least amount of risk possible to them. And we'll discuss that in a moment. Lastly, and again, my biggest adventure, yeah, it's been to the supermarket. And I'm sure most people will attest to this. The adventure to the supermarket on Friday evening, Saturday morning is really the biggest travel and adventure that many people have had for quite some time. Now, one of the things that I learned in 2020 is that many things are out of our control. But one of the things that is within our control is planning and bringing forth plans for the future. One thing that we changed in 2020 for 2021 was a full 121 days money back guarantee, no questions asked, refund policy. That's before any supplemental insurance policy. So that's on every one of our programs for 2021. We do have the ability, and in that case, that allows a traveler to look for the fall of 2021 and head out and say, yes, I want to put that X on the calendar and I want to be able to plan, but make sure that I get my money back if I don't feel it's appropriate in 121 days before. It gives them the opportunity to get their vaccine sorted and to get it inside, at least one or two of them, dependent on the vaccine. We also now have a cancel for any reason insurance policy that you can cancel all the way up to 48 hours in the past. We've always had this, but travelers never thought that it was important until the pandemic happened. And now the pandemic has happened, it's important. So we very much recommend our cancel for any reason insurance policy to augment the safety of the trip. And with all the above, why wouldn't a passenger put an X on the calendar and give the chamber the ability to start a non-dues revenue production? Now, again, as I mentioned, I'm honored and truly pleased to have Libby Gerock. She's the president of the Hilliard Chamber of Commerce, 28 years been in the chamber industry. She's been all over the world. And I met Libby at an ACCE conference many years ago. We were both waiting for taxis to go back to home to the airport. And since then, we've known each other. And I welcome Libby to this webinar today. And thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be part of this esteemed group of my fellow chamber execs and president CEOs. So thanks so much for being here today. I have been doing travel with AVENTURA World since 2015 and have done 9 trips. And sometimes I've even done 2 in 1 year. And why would I do 2 in 1 year? Just because the trips are so phenomenal. I didn't want to pass one up. So that's one reason I did that. I actually started on a fam trip, sort of like Beth did. I went to Dubai with, it was then called Central Holidays, but then it's been turned into AVENTURA World. And that hooked me that this company knows what they're doing. And gave a wonderful experience in this country of phenomenal technology, and I would go back there in a second. So that's what started my trip with Adventure World, and it is just becoming more and more. We've gone to just wonderful places. We've gone, I mean, I had to write them down because there's so many, but we've gone to Oktoberfest and at Austria at one time. We've gone to the southern coast of Spain, which actually on my Facebook reminder memories, just today, I got that notification that it was in 2015. We started that trip. It was our very first trip with Adventure World, and I took 24 travelers with me. So I'll show you, I'll tell you how I got that group of masses as well. We've gone to Cuba. The Dutch riverboat cruises are the best. I'll never do another ocean line cruiser again because you're just on your floating hotel, and it's phenomenal with your BLD every single night. It's or single day. So you've done the Dutch waterways, the Rhine River, and also the Danube River cruise. Amalfi Coast, and oh my God, the most beautiful, that's what my picture is on the Isle of Capri. It's not Capri. We learned when we were there, it's Capri. Did South Africa, Egypt, and we're going to be doing Greece in November of 2021. So yeah, do I love travel? Absolutely. And I've got the itch just as badly as other people in our crowd. So I would really recommend that you look into some of these trips that, because I think the iron is hot really right now. So if you're thinking about it, and with Ian's recommendation of the 121 cancellation days prior to, it's a no-brainer for me. That's what sold me, is just like, we can do this now. And if travelers don't feel comfortable with what's going on in the world at that time, they can at least cancel with everything going back to their pocketbook. So that was really important to me for that. So one of the things we want to do is really pick a destination that you want to go to, because not that it's all about us, but if you're going to be the person traveling with the group, it's important that that's a destination that you feel comfortable going to, as well as you can then show that enthusiasm for the trip. So I picked the southern coast of Spain because one is a 7-day hotel stay. That to me is huge. I really enjoy that. The travelers enjoy this, unpacking once and then you're done, versus 2 days here, 3 days here, 2 days there, or whatever. So to me, again, personal choice is that. Then we did Europe. We obviously did Africa as well, but Europe is probably where we found that the travelers want to go most. We didn't want to choose a domestic travel because we felt that our travelers could do that on their own. So we want to do something that they may not do individually or even as a couple, but group travel answered their needs. So by picking those destinations that people may have not gone to, like the southern coast of Spain, perhaps people would go to Madrid or Barcelona, but going right there on the Mediterranean coast might be something different. So that's one reason we picked that. And it was very, very successful. And that's our core group of travelers too. And also the price. So obviously when you get the price from Adventure World, it is based on a departure from us, it's New York. But working with them, then I see, what is the price coming from Columbus? And I would just say, we're a suburb of Columbus, or else I should say Columbus is a suburb of Hilliard, so in Ohio. But so we're always looking for those opportunities to see what kind of gateways are going to be best for us. So they give us a good trip, actually, or good price on our trip. And the Greece trip that we're going to on November of 2021 is phenomenal. And I have 55 travelers signed up for this already. I mean, this is the largest group I've ever taken. So I'm excited about that. Not overwhelmed, because travelers are not tourists, and there is a difference in that vernacular. So we have travelers, and as Ian's always called them as well, are travelers. They're experienced people, or may not even be experienced travelers, but they want that experience of going to a foreign country and having those cultural experiences, as well as just getting to know other travelers. When we come back from our travels, I always host a party with all the travelers that they can make it. Some are and make it. We just have a great time reliving the pictures and just the fun times that we've had on that. So one of the couple things also, I'm sort of bouncing around here, but so is to be really excited about your trip. As you can, I love traveling. I don't travel that much, and I've only traveled the world really because of my partnership with Adventure World. So it's really amazing. So Ian, I think we'll go on the next slide a little bit. As you just keep popping them up, and we'll just keep trying. It doesn't matter. Okay. And we'll just bounce around a little bit. But some of the things that I didn't know when I first started was, how do I get started on this? Some of you from the poll, I said, have never done travel before, and just might be a little overwhelmed, or you're worried about the time commitment that your chamber staff would do. We're a staff of 2 and have been forever. So when we started this program, so I've just been a staff of 2. What I love about AVENTURA World is that they do the heavy lifting, really. When we, they have an online booking engine that our travelers can just go right on there and do it themselves. And it's click, click, click. And we just get a confirmation that a traveler has signed up, which is the best email ever to get. And so that is all on them to invoice, to do all that kind of paperwork. We don't do any of that. All we are is the liaison between our traveler and AVENTURA World. We do sometimes get a paper copy, which is great because they want to come in and talk to us more about the trip. And we have a brochure that we've printed off from that AVENTURA World has given to us. So we can have that personal conversation and help them fill out fill it out. And then we email that directly to AVENTURA World again. Then they will send the final invoices, to get the final payments. All that goes directly through them. None of that money goes through our bank account whatsoever. The only thing we get is at the end, which is our money back. And on this trip from Greece, we're going to get a pretty penny for having 55 travelers go with us. So I could make that in the time frame that we do. So in terms of staff time, it is not that much, I will say. Party of 2, not that much. One of the things that I love to do is do a webinar. That's how we really got started. Was, okay, we picked, let's just say we picked Oktoberfest. We're doing it, and we did it in September and of that same year of 2015, we did that. And oh my gosh, Oktoberfest, people were going, that sounds really cool. I've never been there. It's an opportunity. And part of the trip was we lived in Innsbruck, Austria for the 7 nights, but we traveled into Munich for the actual Oktoberfest for a day. And people just came to that. So we held a webinar at just a local facility, rent free. Always free is my favorite 4-letter F word. So I think it has to be free. And so we held that, asked people how they found out about us. How did they find out? I did Facebook posts a lot. Even did some investing in that, because I think that's important, that people, that a chamber outgoes some of the money, because you will get the rewards back, trust me. So we set maybe $60 on a Facebook ad, made it for the city of Columbus. We always said to people in our ads, and as well as any announcements we made at chamber events and so forth, was this is for anybody in the United States. So people are asking their friends and their neighbors and their family. We have people coming from Nevada, we have people coming from Florida, we have people coming from North Carolina to go on those trips with us. So it doesn't matter where they live. They don't have to be in your community. And a lot of it is just outside, and word travels fast through the internet. So as they share the brochure and so forth. And then when we have the webinar, these people on Zoom, or if we did it in person prior to, they would be on the call as well. So it's a phenomenal way to just make sure you're not just using it in your own community. But we actually, for our Greece trip, we have travelers in the ages of 30 years old, all the way up through 70. So our travelers right now are, because they're excited to travel, they've got that itch, and I'm all about scratching that itch. Let me tell you, if this is when we can do it, this is the time to really get a travel plan together, because people want to go, and at all ages, like I just related. So don't think it's, I know Ian said 65, but people are, singles are coming at in the age of 30s and so forth. And I'm excited about that, because my daughter and son-in-law are coming, as well as his parents. And so it's just like big old family reunion we're going to have over in Greece in the fall. So with that, just promote it as you can. We even took an ad out in the local newspaper. Yeah, it cost us maybe $100 or so, but that was also a way to, I always that, outgo, but I'll get more in if people are interested. We always ask, how did you find out about the trip and all that during the webinar? I accumulated a list of all of our interested travelers. They're on a huge Excel database. Every time we're going to do a trip, I email every single person and say, this is what we're looking for. Are you interested in the trip, or do you no longer want us to send you emails or whatever? I always give them that option to opt out. People always say, oh, I can't do this trip, but it looks interesting and all that. So I have probably over 150 people who have always been interested in our trips. And that's our group.
I think Libby also, you were one of the first ones to promote in 2021, and your 55 people came immediately.
Correct.
And it just came overnight. So
It-
that's a sign of the times is changing.
Yeah, it was a waterfall. And one reason I wanted to we did our webinar with Ian in late January, and people just started signing up right away. But if you're going to do as much time as you can give on the front end to when you're going to plan your trip. So we started planning with Ian probably in November or December of 20. And then we did our webinar at the end of January because I wanted to be like first out of the gate. And we are the only chamber in Central Ohio that does travel. So we sort of have that opportunity for us. I know that there's somebody else on this call from Ohio, but she's in Northern Ohio, which is not a competition for us at all. But so we're really fortunate with that we have that opportunity. But it's an amazing opportunity, and I'd be more than happy to talk with anybody further about how you can do it, the tricks and the tips and the tricks and all that kind of thing, because I don't want to take up too much time on this.
Thank you, Libby. I appreciate it. And there are ways that we can help in not having chambers compete against each other. We've been doing this a long, long time, and we've partnered with some extremely good chamber executives, and some of the ideas that they brought forth as a collective partnership is unbelievable. And Libby, you're one of those. So thank you very much. So as we go on, this is one of the most important sections. You've learned a little bit about who the travel is, why a chamber would travel, and the current environments out there. One thing that chambers often miss is protecting your affinity. If you want this venture to keep growing and growing and growing, you have to be careful. There are companies out there in the travel area that are direct mail operators, internet operators, and it's important to protect your travelers. You've invested with your Facebook, your work, your advertising, and all those things, and it's important to do your homework, to just double check that this company that you're going to partner with has your vested interest at heart. And easily take a look at the website. Take a look at the website of the company that you're looking at. If you see pop-ups asking, would you like to join our mail list? That's a red flag to you, that is a company that's looking to go direct to a traveler, not a business to business. That's a business to consumer travel company. And that's an immediate red flag to you. If you get a company on that website that has departure dates and pricing, that's another red flag there, looking for individual bookings, not groups. Take a look at our website, for an example. It's a beautiful website. I'm proud of it, and it's very pretty, but it doesn't have departure dates. It doesn't have pricing, because that's what we do directly with you or Libby. We bring forth the dates. We bring forth the pricing. We discuss how much do you want to make on each trip as a partnership. And we don't want a traveler to be able to go online and say, oh, why is your price this? And online, I can get it cheaper, or I can get it's more expensive. We don't even want to get into that forum with you. There are companies out there that'll say, hey, if you can get a group of 10 people together, hey, we will make you a group leader, and we'll give you a free trip. We'll give you company dollars. If you sign up right now, we'll give you $100, $150, $200 company dollars to spend on a future trip. All those are designed to go and build an affinity directly with the traveler, not the group leader, in this case, the Chamber of Commerce. Again, all red flags. If you're working with a travel provider that has any of these, you're doing 1, maybe 2 trips a year, and you're trying to direct people into those trips, yet they're going to get emails. Your travelers will get emails about 100, 200 different destinations. It's nigh on impossible for you to compete in that stage. So as a business to business company, it is, and that's what you should be looking for. The communication is directly to Libby and her team, to the chamber, to the person that is designated to communicate with us. I wish I could say that the travelers that go with Libby are going because of AVENTURA World. They're not. They're going because they want to connect with Libby and they want to have an affiliation with the Hilliard Chamber of Commerce. And we're a vehicle to help Libby get people overseas. And the more contact that your travelers have with the travel company, the lesser affinity you will build. So we're very, very, very adamant. We don't want to talk to your travelers unless you say, please, can you call this person? We'll be happy to call that traveler. But until then, we don't take individual calls. Everything comes through Libby and her team. And that's the way you'll keep your affinity and build it. Now, we've mentioned a few times about FAMs. Yes, if you're interested in going on a FAM with us, we'll have a FAM and we're assessing what that FAM is now for the fall of 2021. Please send an email to our info. I want FAM news. We'd love to keep in touch with you as the FAM goes. We got a mixture of FAMs. We've offered one, sometimes 2 FAM trips on an annual basis, and it's fabulous to be able to come out on a trip, to visit chambers of commerce all around the world, to travel with fellow chambers all from around. We certainly hope you'll come back and take the freedom back to travel. Give your members, give the travelers of the local community hope that, yeah, life is getting back to normal. Travel is fun. It's rewarding, not just financially, but in education and growth, and to support your mission, staff retention, and the bottom line. It's truly an important and fabulous tool. So here's our contact details. You've got my direct cell phone and personal my work email address, but here's another one right here. That's the end of my presentation. I'm going to pop up to the chat feature and see if I can answer as many of these questions as I can right now. Hello, Karen. Hi. Yes, I'll look forward to talking with you soon. Yours is the first question there. As we go, and again, thank you for the comment about the Greece trip.
Ian, I have a question for you to kick things off, maybe. I know everybody on this call seems to be very geared towards looking forward, and we saw that certainly with the poll results. But tell us a little bit about last year and how a company like yours was able to get through such a challenging year and maintain so many strong relationships in the chambers.
I in jest, I say, and I think one thing that got us through last year was humor and a positive environment, and knowing that things are going to get back to normal eventually. But relationship was it, frank and forthright conversations, and a partnership. We build partnerships. We're not making a one-time sale, a commitment here. We have partners that have been with us since Chamber Travel started. And there isn't one thing that we did that was definitely, that's what we did. We spoke, first of all, we spoke to the Libbies of the world, our partners, and we're in this together. What do you want us to do? Some we refunded because that's what the chamber wanted. Yes, other chambers didn't want that because they wanted to protect their revenue. So we didn't refund, and we offered future travel credits, and we offered incentives to keep people on the program itself. So there wasn't one particular thing that we did other than communication. We're in this together. How can we do this? We're not running away. You can call me on a Sunday. You've got my cell phone. We're here. We understand. And that, I think that's the common theme, but there wasn't one thing that we did, but whether it was a refund, whether it was a credit, whether it was, the thing we wanted to do most of all was look after the reputation of the chamber, look after the safety of the traveler, and try their best through planning to protect their investment the best way possible. And I think that's what we did very well. And you know, moving forward, that's always something that we're going to do.
Very
So
good.
we've got a peer group, non-dues revenue through ACCE managed investors shares
I
best
think,
practices.
one of the questions I saw very early on is, can you give us an idea of what the rate of vaccination is in some of the overseas destinations? I think we're doing a pretty good job of tracking where we expect to be by summer. What are you hearing from other countries?
It's a difficult question to truthfully answer. So, you know, international governments, they, as I mentioned in the presentation, they're in rollout right now. Rollout. There are some destinations that are doing exceptionally well. And, you know, Israel's a prime example, and they are going to be the flagship for rolling out vaccinations. They're virtually all vaccinated. They've got a passport program now for vaccinations. But there are other entities that are doing well. The United States is doing good, but there are some in Europe that's doing great. The British Isles is doing great. France is doing well. There's a new focus in Italy. They weren't doing well, but now they've got a new prime minister, and they're doing a lot better now. Greece is doing wonderful. Egypt is doing wonderful. There are some areas that South America are not doing as well. And a conversation we can have on a one-to-one basis is looking, it's not just I want to go to a destination now, it's knowing, does the country have the money to roll out a vaccine? Or are they going to have to rely on a third party like a WHO or an aid organization to assist them in rollout? But again, that's an additional conversation we can have. But there was one here about how much do people usually make? Anything, and it depends on how long you go, anything from $200–300 a person on average. We have some that make $600, $700, $800 a person, and that depends on how long you go through the process and how long you've been doing it. The stronger your affinity, the more that these people will travel with you and the more money that you can make. You've got a super small staff, but you'd love to go with trips. Size of a chamber makes no difference, as Libby mentioned. It's all about the passion for travel. I know CEOs that has in their contracts, I must travel once or twice a year, otherwise I'm walking. So they use that as part of a negotiation, and they get benefits, of course. So size makes no difference. Size of memberships makes no difference, because if you have a membership of 100, hypothetically a small membership, your travel, and you only stay inside the membership itself, you can only get maybe 100 travelers. If you go to the outside into the community and advertise in the community, you got that new revenue stream, the people that you don't know, and you've already, now you're bringing into retirement communities, other companies. You can use it as an incentive. You might have small to medium-sized companies who are members who don't have the staff to do an incentive program, but this is perfect. They can buy a program through the chamber and use it as an incentive for a top producing salesperson. And it's already done in such a way. There's a question in here that says, will travelers have to be vaccinated? Hopes that all track. What's the vaccination? Oh, I apologize. That's the question. Yeah, that's the question. Thank you for asking me that. Is there any more questions that I haven't seen here, Beth?
Yeah, there's one here. One question I know I hear a lot is, how many travelers are needed to make up a trip? And I think you answered it a little bit, but I think it's something that a lot of people are concerned about.
That's a partnership question. Again, we're building a partnership. We all would like to have 10,000 passengers because we're doing this for revenue. Now, there are no guarantees when you produce a chamber program. But again, there are some destinations that are better producing than others. There's ways to get the message out that's better producing than others, and we're experts in that. But it depends on you. I have some partners that say, I will not go over 30 people because that's one bus. I want to get 200 people because I need to get revenue for my feasibility study. And I just want to sell, 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 sell. So that's part of the conversation we have as an initial conversation. How many people would you like to? If you're new in this industry, we're going to say that we hope that you'll produce a full bus full, but we don't know, and you don't know. So we'll bring you into what's called a shared departure. A shared departure where you'll be sharing the trip with one, maybe two, maybe three other chambers. And together you'll produce a bus full. If you produce out of those 1, 2, 3, or 4 chambers, 2 buses, 3 buses, you'll hear me say this. That's a lovely problem to have, and we'll find the space for you. But it gives you the reassurance we can do that.
Somewhat related is the question, is it a requirement that somebody from the chamber be on that trip?
It is not a requirement, but I strongly recommend it. 1, to build your affinity and that people get to know you. 2, your foundation and getting people in touch with you or a senior staff member from the chamber on the trip. Building the connection. It's all about relationship. It's all about building the connection, and people will want to travel with a chamber exec. They will want to listen to a chamber. You don't have to have a meeting. You don't have to have a function room on the trip itself. You'll have restaurants, bars, places that you can talk to people, get to know people. It's also a great way to get to know board members outside the boardroom with their spouses. So it's a great way to interact. So no, you don't have to, but if I'm to be frank, successful chambers in this marketplace do.
One of the other questions is about the AstraZeneca vaccine being stopped in France and Italy, and whether or not that is going to impact destinations in the fall 21 and spring 22.
That's way above my pay grade. and thank you for asking that. But I come back to one thing that I learned last year. There are so many things out of our control at this moment. That's why we brought in the 121 days before you go cancellation policy for 2021 trips, because there are so many things that we can't even envision that might happen. But it gives people the ability to reserve, have some normalcy, have an X on the calendar, and hope that they're going to travel. The next part after it, getting into 2022, again, we don't know. I have a crystal ball on my desk at the office. It doesn't work. I've tried, but that's why we brought out cancel for any reason insurance, so you can cancel all the way up to 48 hours before you go. So planning is important. And through planning and communication, we can get through most things.
I think we need to stop wrapping up. Can I have the last question? Ian?
I think that's.
Well, I'm gonna ask the last question. Can you give us a hint or some indication of where the next FAM trip might be going?
Yes.
I'm asking for personal reasons.
All right.
Asking
Well,
for a friend.
it's down to 1 or 2 places. It's either going to be Egypt or it's going to be Turkey. Both hand in hand, my favorite destinations in the world. Ancient civilizations, culture, and great business places, great things that we can meet with we've met with Amjam in the past in Egypt. We actually met with the Prime Minister of Egypt last time we were there. We've met with, in past trips, we've met with the Chamber of Commerce of Turkey, and great interactions as well as fun camaraderie with fellow chamber execs. One of those two, and we're working on that pretty soon.
Okay, Great. We'll keep an eye for that. I think we need to start wrapping things up here because we need to be mindful of everyone's time. I posted your email again in the chat in case there are any other questions. And if we see anything in the chat that didn't get answered, we will follow up with you. So really just want to take time now to thank both Ian and Libby for sharing their afternoon with us and all the experience that they have. As I said, travel programs are of great interest to ACCE members. So we are very excited to start having these dialogues again. And we really encourage you to reach out to Ian directly. I saw a lot of questions about size of chamber, feeling like people might be too small to do a trip. And I can't tell you enough how, I think Libby made the point, it doesn't matter how small you are because you can market this to your community. So please reach out to Ian about that. And Ian, you know, my bags are packed and I know where to find you. So
if I could say one thing there, Beth, I will not say what state it is, but I have a partner in a specific rural state. There's one stop sign in the entire town and they produce 70 to 80 people every time. I don't know where they come from. I don't know where these people come from. So
well, they might be covering the whole state like Libby is. So all of you know where to find Ian. Please reach out to him directly. I want to thank you for making ACCE programming a part of your day. We offer webinars from time to time. We offer partner solutions so we can see our supporters working with their partners on practical things that you can use in your chambers. So please check out our calendar of events on the ACCE website. Again, there will be a recording of this session made available, sent to you within the next 24 to 36 hours. We'll have a copy of this presentation, which includes good information that you can push out to start testing the waters for interest. And again, Libby, thank you so much for your input and good luck. And I hope you get on a plane sometime soon. Ian, as always, we appreciate your expertise and we look forward to working with you more going forward. And everybody, please stay safe out there. Let us know if you have any questions or follow up to this webinar. But above all, thank you so much for being with us. Have a great afternoon.